Well, hello, everyone. This show is brought to you by Portal to Ascension, New Living Expo, and the Mystery School Cruise are also part of Portal to Ascension, and you can go to portaltoascension.org and find out all the amazing events that we are having and hosting for you over there. Now, we have an amazing guest today. If you want to remember who you were born and who you were before distortion, and reclaim your sovereignty across timelines, as well as activate what was always meant to be online within your soul blueprint, then you will want to meet our guest, Maria Martinez, who works with what she calls the Christic Codes, a living blueprint of divine intelligence encoded within a human being. Now, I would like to introduce myself. I am Joan of Angels. I work privately as a personal strategy advisor and an executive producer for New Living Expo and for various clients, supporting individuals navigating consequential transitions and complex decisions. My work centers on clarity, discernment, and a steady perspective when the stakes are real. People usually find me through referrals and conversations, but I do have a simple way to connect on my website if you feel that resonance. Now, we're talking a lot today about the New Living Expo, and our guest today is going to be there. So before I bring her on, I am going to play that video for you for the New Living Expo, which is a great little video, guys.
The world is changing faster than ever before, and within this evolution, a new consciousness is rising. At the New Living Expo, thousands gather to expand consciousness, explore new conscious technologies, ancient wisdom, and the future of human potential. Immerse yourself in 3 days of heart-expanding wisdom and mind-binding awareness, with over 90 speakers sharing tools to awaken your highest potential. 125 exhibitors, 3,000 attendees, awakened souls, unite in one powerful weekend of learning, healing, and connection. Experience transformation, connection, and the next chapter of human evolution. It is time for humanity to awaken. Join us at newlivingexpo.com.
And we hope you all join us at the New Living Expo. It's going to be really exciting. So my guest today is Maria Martinez. She's a cosmic weaver and an architect of divine sovereignty, a multidimensional healer, psychic medium, quantum energy alchemist, and human potential activator, whose life and work bridge the seen and unseen worlds. From a very young age, she has perceived beyond linear reality, communicating with interdimensional beings, working across timelines, and receiving direct guidance from galactic, angelic, and ascended collectives. Her work centers on helping people reclaim what she calls the Christic Codex, the original galactic architecture of the soul, restoring coherence across the physical, emotional, mental, and multidimensional bodies. Maria is also a wealth consciousness activator, peak performance coach, medical intuitive, hypnotherapist, and teacher who helps individuals clear deep distortions, reclaim sovereignty, and embody higher levels of consciousness. Maria will be presenting at the Conscious Life Expo and the New Living Expo, and we are so excited to have her here. Welcome, Maria.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I know we're really excited to not only have you at the New Living Expo, but to have you on this show right now and on the podcast. So I have a few questions for you,
Sure.
and I'm just happy to get to know you a little bit. But so I'd love to begin at the very beginning, not with what you experienced, but like how it felt to you. So can you go back to when you first began to be aware of these other dimensions, these beings, and other realities? Can you take us back to when that you first realized that you were a little bit different and that you were seeing and sensing?
Thank you. I think for a while I wasn't aware that I was experiencing that. Because it felt very natural to me. For a while, you know, getting up in the morning and having beings around me, or being woken up in the middle of the night and having beings around me, talking, sharing experiences with me, or being me teachings, that felt very natural to me. Or going on missions with my guides and angels at the time, that felt natural to me. I think as I got older, because this started very young, I was about 5, 6 years old. I think as I got older and I noticed that other kids had other interests and they were talking about different things. It's when I realized that not everybody was having these experiences. But I also remember talking to my parents about what was happening, and they weren't surprised because we come from a lineage of shaman, and they not necessarily expect me, but expected someone within the family to have the same level of connection. So this was my grandfather. My grandfather was a shaman. So, thinking about my experience back then, it was very, I want to say that it felt very joyful. It felt very playful, and it felt very safe. Even though back then I was already doing a lot of the extraction, soul spirit extractions, and I was already working with extracting and removing entities from spirit and restoring spirit into its fullness. But it felt kind of unnatural. So I feel like the remembrance, it was remembering that this was already something within me, not necessarily something that I was acquiring here in this plane of existence. It just felt that it was something natural that I did or was able to do or just happened through me, if that makes sense. Um, I don't remember questioning why or rejecting it. It was sort of, this is who I am.
Well, it sounds like you were if your grandfather was a shaman, it sounds like you were already brought up in this kind of tradition.
Yes and no. My grandfather, so we moved from Mexico. We came here, and I was about in those days when I was starting to really feel the connection and have visitors around me and recognize who they were. Um, and I didn't really visit with my grandfather, and he didn't visit with us. So a lot of the work that I did with him was in the astral, was in the spiritual world. So what I guess what made it easy for me, or what sort of created the support system around me, was that my parents knew, and they didn't judge it, or they didn't question, or they didn't make it wrong. It was just, okay, she has the gift. And that was it. There wasn't any additional, like, let's put you into training, or let's have you talk to somebody. It was a recognition of somebody else in the family also having those gifts, and moving into that path of shaman, healer, worker, light worker. So that was the interesting part. Though at the age of 8, we were introduced to a shaman here in the States, and she shared with my parents that I was doing a lot of work in the astral plane. I was doing a lot of traveling to different timelines, and she had noticed that I was coming back with attachments. So this was kind of in our first meeting. So after that, I started working with her, and that's when I began my initiation into shamanism, about the age of 8. And it's actually not only me, my siblings as well, but I was the one that continued to pursue, this path.
So you actually began at the age of 8.
Yes. Yes.
That is quite profound, because at least in the States here, that's very unusual that kids have that training from that very young age.
Yes. And at that time, you're at as a child, you're at a certain level of consciousness, and they don't want to take away your sense of wonder. And that's what she was very careful about. But she realized she's doing it anyway. She's traveling, she's doing her mission work. Some of it she's aware, some of it she's not. So she started giving me tools. So she helped me, like, restore my calling back my spirit, cleaning my spirit up, creating healthy boundaries, helping me with discerning what was mine, what wasn't, what was coming into my field, or what wanted to come into my field, and then ways of keeping my field clear. So tools like that really helped me not be afraid, that helped me feel like I had resources in the conscious state as well. In the unconscious state, I was in, my higher self. So I had all the tools available to me. So during these missions, I either had all the tools or the tools were provided, and fear wasn't anything that came in at any level. It was, we were focused on the mission. We went and did the mission. We came back, and I was back in my body.
I can imagine that was amazing. Okay. I'm
It
sitting
was.
here going, oh my God, why did I have that when I was her age? Or
Yes.
so many of us, because with that kind of training, they took away all the stigma. You had nothing between you and just going for it and becoming an open vessel for this.
Yeah, I want to say that in terms of that aspect of my life, yes. And of course, as you're growing up, you're still growing up in the society, and you're still going to school with other kids. So you're still, if you have a coach, if you have a mentor, you're continuously at the different conscious levels and at different multidimensional bodies. You're releasing and not taking on different stories. I didn't have that. So the later work that I did was in the lower bodies, mental, emotional body, taking care of my inner child, empowering the victim, and then moving into my alignment with my higher self. So that's the part that we're all, that a lot of us are here to learn how to move back into the light, how to recognize where we're not in the light and come back to the light, how to recognize the lessons that we're here to learn. And the sooner we learn them, the sooner we can go back into the alignment. Then also coming back into alignment and recognizing, oh, I don't have to experience pain and suffering. I can continue to expand and flow from this place. So that was, the later part of my work, which is also what I teach and what I empower people with.
Well, okay. Well, let's get into that. So tell me what you teach and what you empower people with. And also, I'm really interested in some of the tools that you use that you mentioned.
Yeah. So my earlier work was extraction or casting out entities, demons, all of that. And I remember having a conversation with God, Source Universe, and saying, this is heavy. This is, this is my mission. I accept it completely. But it's very heavy. I want to be lighthearted. I want to have joy in my life. I want to connect to people in a different way. I want to feel love and compassion and loving kindness. And I want to hold that space for others. So that work continued, but then I was moved into because people started coming into my field asking me about wealth consciousness, asking me about activating their own superpowers. And that work is very joyful. The other work is the foundational work. I feel like we need to be free and fully own our divine will so that we can become the master creator and the master designer. So that part is important. Removing, casting out, recalibrating, and also reweaving the parts of our soul into the highest codex. That's important because that gives us and restores our free will. And it also becomes a new foundation from which we create. And then the rest of it is fun. We can create abundance, wealth, prosperity. We can create an impact. We can be of service to others. We can create a life of happiness. We can create a life of service and joy. We can, it's the magic. It's working with the magic of manifestation and creation and speaking creation into being. So that became what my work involved into wealth consciousness, manifestation, wealth building, wealth legacy, wealth creating generational wealth, activating our superpowers, allowing ourselves to recognize where we were in the parts of ourselves that were separate or the parts of ourselves that felt out of alignment, and bringing all those parts into alignment, bring all those parts into the now, and reintegrating ourselves and then upgrading ourselves to the higher state of consciousness, activating new codes within ourselves to awaken other aspects of ourselves and our DNA. So connecting our DNA, awakening our DNA to the galactic aspects of ourselves, and remembering that technology, the here and now. So that's what I currently facilitate, is others stepping into their divine essence, their their pure alignment, their soul mission, and then activating that technology within themselves and bringing it through to create a beautiful, powerful impact in the world as they're meant to be, as they're meant to create in this world and reality. That's been very exciting. That's been amazing. Currently, one of my favorite programs that I teach is Christic Codex Architect. So it's a practitioner program where you learn how to work with the multidimensional bodies, mind, so the mental body, the emotional body, the spirit, the soul, the energetic body, the physical body, and sometimes we go into the astroplasmic light body, depending what we're working on. So understanding all those levels of who you are and clearing them from interferences, creating a space for you to embody your full and total cosmic sovereignty, and then bringing in all higher self-actualized aspects of you in their technology. So if you are a very self-actualized Arcturian, very self-actualized Andromedan, or Lyrian or Syrian, or an ascended master, or and other beings of light that are coming in from different galaxies, to activate that technology within you and have access to that. That technology then shows up in the work that you do, in how you hold space for other. So, for instance, one of the technologies that I bring in are very high frequencies of instant healing and instant manifestation. Other codex that I help facilitate and activate, or those of our connection within the DNA to our galactic starseed lineage. So it's a very beautiful process. And when that takes place, you awaken aspects of yourself, and that begins to show up in your day to day. It begins to show up in the sessions that you're holding. It begins to show up in everything that you are and everything that you do. The way you meditate, who comes in during your meditation, the way you facilitate for others, the way you hold space, they show up in your beingness. So this is very beautiful, powerful work, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. In terms of the wealth consciousness, with wealth consciousness, there are different parts. The one of the aspects of wealth consciousness is moving back into creation, because creation is infinite flow. So coming back to that alignment of infinite creation within you, recognizing that you are that infinite creation and holding that within yourself. So that begins to activate that flow. The other one is the consciousness. The consciousness is choosing and knowing that you are that infinite flow within you. So it's the frequency, and it's the knowing, and it's the embodiment of that wealth consciousness. When we are in that state of wealth consciousness, we move into the state of certainty and expectancy. Whatever we choose to do is successful. Whatever we choose to do, it flourishes. It becomes more. When we're not in the state of wealth consciousness, we create struggles, we create self-sabotage, we create other things in the field that disrupt whatever we're up to, our programs, that create delay in our programs, that will create delay in what we want to bring into our reality. They'll create delays in our business. They will even create delays in new clients coming in. So it is an alignment of our light. It is an alignment of our awareness. It is an alignment of our knowing and our beingness. So again, the knowing is I am, the infinite essence of wealth creation itself, and we hold it and we experience it within ourselves as who we are. Basically, there is no option. We are abundance and prosperity. And the embodiment and the knowing is we expect good things to happen. We expect success. We expect abundance. We expect prosperity. So that expectation creates flow. When you tap into a level of abundance and you keep expanding there, more of that. So this is the flow that we're creating. We tap into the level of abundance and we create more of that. When we tap into the level of success, we create more of that. So it's a continuous expansion of happiness. It's a continuous expansion of I am. I am the universe within me. I am creation itself. It's a continuous expansion of abundance, prosperity, gratitude, joy, and happiness. So it's very beautiful, very beautiful.
So it sounds like then you help people create their architecture, their divine blueprint, like that whole structure. And then from there, like once they have that foundation, they can begin to activate their prosperity genes.
Yes. So the first thing is restructuring and reconnecting, reawakening the codex. Once you're in the codex, you're stepping into your sovereignty, your authority. You're stepping into the version of you that can access everything that's available to you: wealth, abundance, prosperity, happiness, joy, good health. All of that is available to you. So once we unlock that, the happiness and the manifestation becomes a lot easier. And at that point, is you calling into existence or calling it into creation and becoming. So instead of moving to that, you're bringing it to you.
Amazing. Sounds interesting. So let me ask you a few questions. Tell us about your interdimensional connections and your contact, your star and your celestial. I'm really curious about that.
Yeah, that started also when I was about 12, my first contact. And again, I didn't think much of it, but what it did do is it opened my awareness to what was beyond. And it wasn't surprising, and I didn't judge it. I was actually more curious. Not necessarily what was coming through, but what was available beyond. And especially because of the way I was raised. I was raised very sort of sheltered. So my world was very small at the time until I was introduced to the infinite universe at that point. And I was about 12 years old. And then I had continuous contact. When I was very young, 5, 6 years old, I started having contact with spirit, archangels. Michael was many times by my side. Joshua, Christ, Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene. Different ascended masters would show up, especially when we run during mission work. So that was very normal for me. And when I was introduced to other beings, the first beings that started coming in were Pleiadians. And they started coming in the astral plane. A lot of them came in my dream state. And then as I began to do my work, in service to others, they began to come in while I was in a session. They would come in and stand behind me, usually, or they would stand slightly in front of me if they were working with the individual that I was with at that time. After that, it was the Arcturians, Andromedan. Mm-hmm. And now I still work with all of them. I work with a very beautiful, powerful, a very high ascended group of Andromedan and Arcturian hybrids, some equine, some feline beings, and they come in at different times depending on what we're working with. And a higher aspect of myself as well, Ashara Tarama, who is one of my higher selves, one of the ascended versions of myself. And she comes often in with the work that I'm doing or during the work that I'm doing and brings in powerful frequencies to heal. And the results are so powerful, astounding, instant transformation, instant shifts that happen. So it's very beautiful. I also take my clients often to the med bay in my ship or their ship. I introduce them to their ship. Sometimes it's my ship, sometimes it's their ship. So we go to the med bay. Other times, and depending who I'm working with, I have a Christic Codex group of practitioners, so we often meet in my command room. It's a very long table. We're sitting around with other beings of light, luminous beings of light. So it's normal for me to work with luminous beings and very high ascended beings, and for me to bring who I'm working with into their presence. One, they already have connection with them. They're part of the start line, or there's mission work to be done.
So that's amazing. I wish we were having this interview on that ship, by the way. Had you told me, we could have started from there, I think. But so, like, which do you feel like you're one type of star being more than the other, or are you like?
I'm a hybrid, Arcturian and Andromedan.
Arcturian and Andromeda. I know a lot of people like that. That's kind of a good combo. Do you have celestial in you? You said ascended master.
Elohim.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And when you work with these beings, I know you see them in your inner eye. Have you ever had physical contact?
Yeah, and especially when I was younger, they were always physical. They were always in my physical environment. A lot of the work now, it's we're going to a state and we access, but many times they're here or with the client. So yes, we've had, that's commonplace for us, or for me, to have physical contact with them, for them to show up here in my space.
So you physically see them?
Yes, I physically see them so I see them in my inner eye and my outer eye. So with my normal vision.
I love that. I love them. I see them with my inner eye. I've only once seen it with my outer eye, but I've heard stories and a lot of discussions on how it feels. How did it feel to actually have one come into your space? And who came in?
Well, all of them have come in at different times. Like I said, I've been seeing since I was 5 or 6. So that's been normal for me to see different beings come in. When they first came in, like I said, the Pleiadians were the first ones to come in. And they felt very familiar to me. So I wasn't sort of surprised or anything. I was more curious, which I asked. It's almost like I immediately knew who they were when they come in because of that familiarity, working in the astral plane with them. And they came in, and I remember the first time they came in, they were activating a code with the individual that I was working with, and they were running this code through the back of their spine, and I could see different say like forms of geometry and different forms of cosmic codes as they were running the light up and down the back of their or through the spine. It was from the base of the neck all the way down to the tailbone. So that, again, it wasn't surprising. It was familiar, but it was like a joyful feeling because they were coming in, and it was the first time coming in this physical plane to work with. So it was very joyful.
Like a reunion. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the way the New Living Expo is going to feel for many of us. Neil and I talk about that often, that it's a reunion of our star family and our, in this physical form there.
Yeah.
So I think that's very exciting. So why do you think then, like, what do you feel is the agenda of our star family at this point? Like, and with this, what's going on with disclosure and people talking about extraterrestrials, do they tell you what their point of view about this disclosure is or contact is?
Yeah. So what's happening now, we're talking about it more, but in reality, it's been happening for a long time. Now it feels, more people are talking about it. It's safer to talk about it. It's more of a common conversation. There's more interest in it. But this actually has been happening for a long time, and they've been involved with holding the space. Again, their role and mission for humanity is awakening, is healing, is ascension, is activating their technology. They want us to be free. They want us to be healed. They want us to access all of our potential, all of our DNA. So that has always been their role. So they work with, and they call them the guardians. So the guardian team, the protectors, the blueprinters, the alchemists, and the holders of light. So, or these sort of different groups that are here to help humanity. They all work together to help humanity continue on this ascension and step fully into our sovereignty, fully into our awakening, fully into our own technology, and become who we were meant to become, that self-actualized being that has access to our, our 12, 24, 48 strands. And that is their mission and goal, for us to have that freedom to choose that and embody that. And they're also here protecting and helping maintain the balance of freedom. So if there are any ETs that come in that want to manipulate, or that want to distort, or that want to influence their mind, or that want to control, they will come in and step in and help humanity. So that is their role, especially with the group that I work, that are the guardians, the protectors, the blueprinters, the holders of the light, and the architects. Their role is to keep that balance and usher us into our total, authentic, cosmic sovereignty, so that we remember fully and embrace who we truly are, and also so that we can step into our power and not necessarily not need them, but work alongside them, for the rest of humanity, as humanity continues to evolve, as new beings come into the world, new starseeds come into the world. So that is their mission and purpose with this. So there's different groups, and that's why I say with the groups that I work with, protectors, guardians, awakeners, way showers, supporters of humanity, and especially supporting and creating space for sovereignty, empowerment, freedom, true freedom.
I think that's amazing. Outstanding. We are so fortunate. I think it's miraculous that they're working with us. It's our saving grace, because the planet needs miracles. That's what I always say anyway, and I feel that. So when you work with people, then tell us a little bit about how you work with your clients then, or with people who come to you. I know you take them on a ship. I think is great.
Yes. So people come to me for a couple of different reasons. If they want to work on their wealth, if they feel like they have money blocks, or they're starting a new venture and they want to sort of set themselves up for success or create generational wealth. So I work with them in that aspect. The other aspect is health. If they've had a chronic condition, if they've sort of dealt with something for a long time, they've done a lot of the medical or even alternative, and it still hasn't shifted in a way that they feel like they're in control or living the life that they want to live. And the other aspect are people that feel the call, have been called to serve, and they're ready to step into their full power, and are looking for, how do I do that? So those are sort of my three ideal clients. And the way we work is, first of all, I look at where they're at, and where they want to go. So from where they are, where they want to go, and I look at what's in between that. So if it's wealth, I look at their money mindset, I look at their blocks, I look at the relationship with money, and I look at their past lives, their ancestral, and I look at outside interferences like draconian interferences, reptilian interferences, arcane interferences, which are usually the ones I find connected to money and control, lack, scarcity, poverty, consciousness. So and when I find them, obviously I clear them. But the goal is that they embody the flow, they embody the knowing, and they move back into the universe source within themselves. That is that overflow of creation. And sometimes I take them to the Akash. Sometimes I take them to their hollow records to clear whatever is there for them to release and be able to fully embody and fully unlock their divine fortune. With people that come in that have health issues, a lot of times those people have been moving into becoming a light worker or some sort of way shower or visionary. and they haven't been able to because of their health. So I track that illness. And many times I find entity interferences or demonic interferences, satanic interferences, which are black magic. So I look for the source and I remove the source of where it's coming from across many generations and many timelines, especially if they've been tagged and tracked and traced throughout timelines. And when that happens, almost immediately they recover. Their symptoms are almost 100% gone because something else is no longer interfering with their health. They move into the state of fullness, joy. The other aspect of that healing is I look for their spirit. When we've had trauma, whether it's emotion, mental, spiritual, any kind of trauma, many times the spirit moves out of the body. So I look for where the spirit is and how many times they've had the trauma and in how many lifetimes. And I awaken the spirit and then I reconnect it to their core star. And then we bring it back to themselves. We bring it back into that alignment. And there's an immediate and powerful shift within themselves. It's like they are awakened, because they're supercharged with their spirit back in their body. And what that does to the physical body, it kind of reboots it. And when the body reboots, it's like rebooting your computer. Your operating systems begin to come online and the body has its own intelligence. So the body begins to remember how to heal as well. So again, there's multiple things that happen there. And with your superpowers, I look for where you decided that you were going to shut them down, where you decided, and a lot of it has to do with karma or decisions we made in different lifetimes. And I also look for where you're holding the burden of things that you've lost in other lifetimes, like if you were in a battle and you lost the battle, or if you were holding space, like if you were a high priestess and it was your temple was burned down, or everybody was killed, or what kind of trauma you're holding about being the light or holding the light, or being that way shower, or being that visionary, or being the light worker. So I look for all of that, and we heal all of that, and we recalibrate and recode and recreate a new story. And then we begin to connect to the star seeds. We activate the DNA, galactic DNA, and we connect. So we start sort of at this level, and then we start moving into the higher dimensions to activate the higher levels of that DNA.
I think you do amazing work, and I love how you can take away the entities and take away from ancestral. And you mentioned that some people are being tracked across lineages, across now
timelines.
What is that about? Yeah, across timelines.
Yeah,
and
that has to do
affect.
Well, it can affect anyone. Somehow a lot of people that come to me have this, and I think that's part of my mission, because it's the earlier work that I was doing where I was restoring spirit from demonic attacks or demonic attachments or possession, satanic. But what I found is that it's not just the earthbound, it's also ETs, other types like shadow beings, leviathans, Thoth, different types of beings, zetas, that want to harness the light that a lot of light workers hold. So they'll track, or they'll manipulate, or they'll grab a part of the soul. And once they grab it, they tag it so that they can continue to siphon a part of that. So we always feel limited, or we always feel like there's something, like we can't quite get there. We can't quite be our full potential, or there's, it's going great, and then there's some form of sabotage. Or there's a wall or a ceiling around us, or our health, if it's not one thing, is another. So these are things that I notice as I look for. So it's almost like a replicate of that initial trauma that keeps happening across different timelines, dimensions, and realities. And they do that because they want to siphon our light. And if we are not our full potential, then we're not the light in the world to help awaken humanity, to help support humanity, to help humanity ascend. So we're not working at our 100%. We may be working at our 20, 30, 40%.
I find this very fascinating because I too struggled with reaching that limit and then kind of collapsing. And I know a lot that happens to a lot of people. And so what what determines who they're tracking? Are they tracking people with certain maybe Magdalene lineage or genes, or, or goddess energy? Like what starts them on tracking people?
Yeah, they track a lot of people who have held, especially positions of power. So it's not just one. So it's hard to say that like it's just these people. What I've noticed is that they've tracked people that stepped into their mission, and the lower bodies kind of got in the way, meaning the mind. Like they went into, I am responsible for all of these people. So in that moment that we took responsibility, we moved a little bit of our alignment as the channel, because when we're the channel, we know that we're not like the human being that's making or creating healing or holding the healing. Is the source within ourselves. So that moment we separated from that source, in that little instant, that's when they're able to get in. So they track people that are very powerful or have been very powerful in different timelines, or the people that were on their way to becoming very powerful, but they were able to distract along the way by interfering with the inner child, interfering with the part of us that is the ego, interfering with the part of us that is the victim energy or the victim mentality. So they were able to grasp to a lower part of ourselves and prevent us from fully actualizing. And then if they can keep doing it, then we don't get there. And I've seen it in very beautiful people that have been high priestesses, that have been oracles, that have held positions of medicine women, shamans, men as well. So any position of power where you were the leader that others depended on you, or whether you had your community or sisterhood that you were teaching and responsible for, or you were responsible for a group that you were healing, that was coming to you to heal. And again, it's light workers of any form, shaman, spiritual teachers, high priestess, oracle, medicine women.
Wow. Okay, that's very profound, especially because, they started attacking light workers from birth.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not this birth, right? It's many other lifetimes. It could have been the very first time we came into being in this timeline, or in this earth timeline. I mean, a lot of times I track them to other timelines and dimension, or other aspects of themselves, like other beings. I've tracked them to Pleiadian, Orion. So a lot of times they when they track, they try to do it from the beginning, because then you have that core soul energetic DNA wound that most people are unable to see because it's so early on in creation.
That really confirms what I tell people, which is that we're attacked from the very day we get here, that they don't want us to remember. And now you're telling me that they track us from the day we landed here eons ago.
Sometimes, yeah.
I know I've heard stories. I had one friend who was telling me that, that when I got here, they ripped my wings off. Like I could literally feel that pain of that. And you're just confirming that. So because of that, then your work has a lot more meaning, I'm thinking, because you can tell when people are under attack then. That has been happening for lifetimes. And so, like, you talk a lot about sovereignty. And so once someone starts to feel into how powerful they are, then I'm thinking that then they once they tap into how powerful they are, then they can be free. So let's have a little chat about that, and then we'll have to wind up.
There's a level of freedom once you recognize that you are sovereign, because the first thing that connects you back to your divine will is choice. So when you, and honestly, we're always choosing, right? We're either choosing by not choosing, or we're choosing by consciously, intentionally choosing. So we're constantly creating. But when you decide, I've created this life, this is what my life is, and I would like something better, and then you start choosing what is better, and you start reclaiming, what you're doing in a way is removing things in your field that are no longer in alignment. you're, earlier I said you're here and you're moving up here, you begin to climb that ladder up to the new frequency or the new reality. And when you choose, I am sovereign, you're also making a declaration of, I'm not giving permission to others to occupy or be squatters in my home, my temple, my field. Even if you need help, removing them, just by simply saying, I am sovereign, and really owning that. Just saying it is not enough. You have to own it. You have to be in alignment with it. You have to feel it within you. And so that's spirit alignment. That's you being able to sit in the center of your head, in the center of your heart, in the center of power center, in the center of your sacral area, in the center of, all your energy centers, and feeling yourself as the expansion of the light. That's ownership. That's authority. That's sovereignty. And then expanding that light and raising that frequency of the light, then you're truly claiming who you are. And that begins sort of this domino effect of removing things that are not there. And you'll know when you'll need help. Like, I sense something there that I haven't been able to move. You can ask help there, but you've started that movement within yourself. You created that momentum within yourself, that decree, that declaration, that intention, that ownership, that authority. And the more you own your authority, the easier then it becomes to embody higher frequencies, because you're no longer a victim and you're no longer waiting for somebody to save you. You've already started to take those steps forward to create the reality that you desire, and to not tolerate anything that doesn't align with the new reality or the new you.
That sounds simply amazing. So now, what are you going to be talking about the New Living Expo?
I'm going to be talking about the Christic Codex, what that is, and how do you activate them, what that means to you, and connecting to your star seed. So we're going to be working on our DNA, connecting to our star seed, connecting and activating some of that technology, and repairing some of the codes that have been distorted, removing some seals that have been placed that have created limitation or have created oppression or have created sabotage, and amplifying who you are as a divine being, as a galactic being. So it's going to be very beautiful and powerful, and very healing as well. All my talks are clearing, healing, and activation. So if you come to any of my talks at the New Healing Expo or Conscious Life Expo, healing, clearing, and activation.
I love it. All right. Well, Maria, thank you so much for this profound, heart-centered transmission. Your presence is gentle, it's powerful, really needed at this time, and I can't wait to meet you at the New Living Expo.
Thank you. I look forward to that.
Thank you for being with us. Wow, that was so profound to talk to her. Thank you to everyone who's watching. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting Portal to Ascension, New Living Expo, and this mission. And thank you for being a part of our planetary awakening. You can all join us at the New Living Expo. You can sail with us on the Mystery Sea Cruise, and you can explore upcoming events and teachings at portaltoascension.org. And if today's conversation activated something inside of you, be sure to check out Joan of Angels. And remember, expect miracles because you were born for this. Have a great day, everyone, and we will see you next